All right. Well, hello, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great day so far. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and get started here. So, if this is your first time, this is Workout Wednesday live stream that I do every single week on Thursdays at 12:15 p.m. Central Time here in the U.S. So I live in Kansas City, Missouri. We are good at barbecue, so that'll be good. But today, what we're going to be talking about is Hexbins. So Hexbins are a functionality that's been in Tableau for quite a long time. I know that this blog post is probably one of the most dated. Goes back to 2015, which is around the time that I first picked up Tableau. So it's when I first got into Tableau was around this time. Now I certainly wasn't picking it up to make Hexbin maps, but that's how long it's been around. So it's been around a while. It's good stuff. Basically, what it allows you to do is it allows you to make sense of a densely packed scatter plot. Now, for those of you who may be new to Tableau, I'm going to drop you a little secret here. Tableau, or excuse me, a map is literally nothing more than a scatter plot with a map background. And we'll take a look at that whenever we get into this. But just wanted to let you know first up that that's what a map. I mean that's what a map is. Just a scatter plot with a map behind it. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to build a Hexbin map, and what a Hexbin map does is it was the original. If you think about the classic heat map, density map, if you will. Tableau did not quite have the capabilities to do a true density map. This is one of the ways that they were able to provide that level of analysis without necessarily having the spatial capabilities within mapping to do that. So, densely packed data, and it can be you can use it to do that. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. So what we're going to do is we're going to obviously connect to our data. This is a CSV file that comes straight from the 311 open data portal from New York City. So we'll go ahead and connect to that. We'll get started. All right, so we got a bunch of fields in here. We're not going to use very much, honestly. The three fields. Oh, excuse me. Three fields we need to keep in mind. We need the latitude, the longitude, and we need the borough, right? So that's what we need there. Now, in order to make Hexbins, if we look at the calculated field window, and first, what we'll do, we'll take the average latitude. Oh, this is not going to look right. So here's a fun thing. Here's a way to understand. So what you need to have in order to make a Hexbin map, or really a lot of maps that go down further than zip code, is you need the individual latitude longitude points. Tableau cannot do Hexbin maps on the generated, right? So you've got the latitude longitude generated, and then you've got latitude longitude as fields in your data. Tableau cannot do Hexbins based off of these. Tableau can only do it off of these. So you'll either need individual points or you'll need to go get the centroids if you want to do it on zip code, and you want to do it, if you want to try and hexbin your zip codes or something like that, you would need to go get the centroids for each of those points, and then you would bring it into your data as latitude, longitude, and then you could do that. But here's the fun thing. If you remember, I said a map is nothing more than just a scatter plot with a map behind it. That means you can make a hexbin out of any scatter plot. If it's densely packed, that's what you can do. So really cool stuff. All right, so let's talk about latitude, longitude. I threw latitude up here and I threw it on columns. That's not right. Think about, this is how I learned it. I learned it way back in school. One of my teachers, I can't remember her name, but which one is latitude, which one is longitude? Latitude goes across. Latitude goes across because it's making a ladder that you would climb up, right? So ladder, latitude. And longitude goes up and down. So it's really long, right? So really, really long. Okay, so we have the attitude. We have this point. So I'm just kind of making it up. We're going to walk through the process, right? So we're going to walk through the different steps of how to do this. So, and then we have and then we need an ID. So here's just the average latitude, longitude point. But if we go here and we see this unique key, if we drag unique key up to detail, we're going to get our scatter plot. There it is, right? So there's our scatter plot. You can't really make anything out here. Now, in recent versions of Tableau, yeah, we have a density map. We have a density mark type. It's now there. I don't recall when it was there. Let's go take a look here. Tableau, new features, density mark. When was that released? Yes, there it is. 2018.3. So it's been a few years. So we could go here. We could change this to a density map. And then boom, we've got our density, and then we can go in here and we can do all of our cool fun colors. I have quite a few colors in my TPS report. No, my TPS file. Little office space joke there. In my TPS file, I've got a lot of different colors here. So anyway, but you can come in here and you can change your mark type so you can see, cool stuff, right? So that's the new way, right? But the original way is hexbins. So how do you create a hexbin? Well, thankfully, Tableau actually has a built-in function for hexbins. And we'll call this hexbin latitude. And remember, latitude goes on the ladder, right? So the ladder is rows, and that is the y-axis. So what we're going to do for there is we're going to just say hexbin y, and it needs two numbers, and that's just going to be the latitude and the longitude in that order, right? And then we can duplicate this. And really, the only thing that changes is the name, hexbin long, and we just change this to X. That's it. That's all we got to do. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to make these geographic points. So what we're going to do here is we're going to control click on both of our newly created fields. We're going to right click, and we're going to convert to dimension. That's going to put them up here, and it's going to put them as discrete fields. We also need to, make these geographic elements. So we're going to click on our little hash mark here that says they're integers, or numbers, I should say, and we're we're going to right click on that to get our data type, and we're going to change this to a geographic role of latitude. We're going to change this one to a geographic role of longitude. And now X, Y, and we have, do we still need, I don't think we need that there. Nope, something's foul here. What did I do? Oh, I am in Null Island, so look at that. So you can see here. So this is how you know if you're if you make a map and it looks wonky, you've probably got your things fouled up here, right? So let's do what happens if we flip this? Then something really not right, okay? Because that doesn't even give us a map. So that's not right. So something is fouled up here. So let's just do, let's see, how did we do this? Hexbin X, latitude, longitude. Let's see. See if we can't get some. Yeah, coordinate to Y, maps an XY coordinate to the Y coordinate of, yeah, the bins have a side length of 1, so the inputs need to be scaled appropriately. Okay, we'll deal with that later. Okay, so what we're trying to do here is okay, we're getting better. We're close because we're still here in kind of out here in, we're closer to New York, which is good. Let's see. Let's see here. Why is this going south here? Oh, I know why. Let's go in here. Is it because these are flipped? Let's see. Whoa, now we're back over here. Now we're way back over there. But we're going to put this back on what it should be here. Nope. Okay. All right. Well, let's just blow this away. I think I'm getting caught up here. Okay, so let's do this. Let's just do Hexbin. Let's just call it Hexbin X. Hexbin X is longitude, latitude. Okay. Let's see, just to make sure I did this right. Longitude, latitude for X. Duplicate. Edit. Hexbin Y. Hexbin Y. Let's see. Yep. Okay. Convert these to dimensions. Convert this to Hexbin Y is Hexbin X is longitude. Is latitude. Yeah, Hexbin X, Hexbin Y. Okay, we're closer. Okay. I don't know why this is not working. Let's see. All right, you know what it's time for? Time to Google. It's okay to do this. Tableau Hexbins. Oh yeah, I remember this one. This was by Matt Chambers back in the day. So that's how you do a square one, but then we can do it using X. Okay, so hex long. Let's just build it. Let's just build this by step by step here. All right, so let's get rid of this. Yep. Okay. Okay, so Hexbin X, and we've got this ratio thing, so we'll. All right, so Hexbin is what? Hexbin longitude is Hexbin X longitude, latitude. Duplicate this. Make this an A, make this X and Y, so Hexbin latitude. And then what? Hexbin dimension continuous latitude, right? Yeah, longitude there. Okay. Okay. And then, oh, I need my measure. That's right. But maybe, I don't know. What's here? But I only get 1 point. Why do I only get 1 point? Describe. Load. Yeah, I get a bunch of points. Okay. Something's not right here. Analysis. Nope. Okay. Do I have a bunch of points? Yeah, there's a bunch of points right there. Oh. This is right. I just haven't done the ratio part. So I didn't finish this, right? So he says, so we need to do a ratio, right? And the reason why, if we look at this again, hexbin y, right? So maps an xy coordinate to the y coordinate of the nearest hexagonal bin. Bin, that's a key word, bin. The bins have a side length of 1. So the inputs need to be scaled appropriately. So that means everything's being binned into one hexagon, right? Which is, so what we need to do first, we'll go here to mark type. Let's go ahead and make this a hexagon since we're talking about hex bins. Shape. And this is one of the weird things about Tableau. They give you hexbin mark types, but they don't give you a hexagon shape. So that's interesting. So you need to go down here to icon, and here I have my hexbin shape. We'll apply that, and then there we go. All right, so now we need to do this. We're going to create a parameter, and we're going to call this ratio, make it an integer. And basically what we need is we need to figure out how many individual plots need to be, do we want to group together, right? So we're going to start off at 250. And then what we need to do, we're going to go ahead and show this parameter. And then we'll come back to our latitude, longitude. And we're going to multiply each of these by the ratio. But then we're going to divide the entire thing by the ratio so that everything kind of stays proportional to each other. Click apply. And now things are changing, right? So now we'll go here and we'll do the same thing. So you see here, now you've got, essentially 250 hexbins going down, right? And so now if you do the exact same thing, times ratio divided by ratio, there we go. See? I just hadn't done it all. I knew what I was doing. All right. So now we've got hexagons. And so now you're like, okay, well, cool, but why? What happens now? Well, you see how there's still a little bit of space in between. What I'd really like to do is I'd really like to figure out, as I change these, you're going to see all of this stuff change. You're going to see the number of marks change. And so what we'll do real quick also is we will go ahead and make this an extract because it's pretty large. And it does take some computing power to do this. So now we should be a little bit better. All right, so it's 250 right now, right? So if I drop this to, let's see what happens if I go all the way up to 300. Watch what happens to the hexagons here. You see how it's getting more densely packed? So if I go down to 200, what you're going to find is there's going to be less space between them. So now what we can do is we can go ahead now. So essentially what's happening is there are 200 points within one hexbin, right? So that's essentially what it's doing is it's aggregating some points. And so what you can do now is you can come here and you can take your number of records and drop it on color. And you'll start to see Oh, I need to do this because aggregate. There we go. There we go. Now you can kind of start to see that heat map come, right? So this is what we did before, and this is what we're making here. So you can start to see this kind of taking shape, right? And so then what you kind of do is you just kind of play with this. I kind of like what 250 looked. So 250 is really kind of close together, right? Looks pretty nice. And then what you can do, we'll go here and we'll start to kind of format this map a little bit. So we'll edit our colors. So again, like I said, I have a lot here. I have a lot of colors. And then I just reversed this one. Applied that, and then to make it look even better, I went down here to map background layers, and I changed my map style to dark. So that essentially made those really light ones go away, or the really low count hex bins. The really low ones kind of disappear in the background, but then as they get more, they kind of start to appear a little bit more. So that was kind of the way that I kind of approached this one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take everything off except for the base map. Kind of clean this up a little bit. And we'll go ahead and get rid of our null indicator. And yeah, so that's essentially what it is, right? You could go, so there was, and that's essentially all there is to it, right? There's nothing more than that. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting is one other guy in the community, Jack Heineman. He actually went one step further, and he created a ratio for each, right? So he created a ratio for longitude. And duplicated this, edit, and made this one latitude. Change the values. And then he went into each of these. Longitude times longitude, latitude times latitude. And, oh, not that. So this is the latitude. So you take both latitudes. You do this whole hex bin times the ratio for the latitude. And then you take the longitude. Hexbin longitude, and you multiply that by the longitude one, right? And then you can kind of play with the size, and they can, you can really start to really make these tessellate really well. So we'll go here. We'll show that one's already showing. And then when we get to the dashboard, generic fixed size. Right, so this is again kind of where you just kind of play with it. See what works. There we go. So I had to go up a little bit, but see how you can kind of see how it's really starting to tessellate a lot, right? So I'll kind of zoom in here. You can see how these hexagons are really starting to tessellate the more that we kind of play with this. So that's kind of fun. So that's kind of what he did. I thought it was a really cool approach. So you can kind of see that too. But yeah, so there you go. So then you get into the next part of it, which was the bars. That was pretty simple. That was just the take the burrow, put it on rows, remove nulls and not specifieds, and then take your count, put it up there, sort it, do some formatting. But then what you need to do when you float this sheet on the dashboard, right, and you want to add a highlight action, dashboard actions, highlight action on sheet 3, which is our highlight, to sheet 2 on the dashboard. We want to do all fields on hover. And you'll see here nothing's happening, right? So I'm doing this and nothing's being highlighted, right? So what you need to do, and the reason for that again is because we're binning everything, right? Everything is being, the level of detail and what's the aggregation and everything is kind of blowing everything out of proportion. So what you've got to do, if you just go here and if you just add burrow onto detail, it doesn't change the hexbins at all because thankfully the burrows have nice segregated lines and there's no overlap. So now it works, right? Now, another thing that I thought about doing, and this is where the ratio kind of comes into play. One thing I thought about doing was you would have to, if you wanted to drill in to say, show me all the ones and queens. So if we could do that, let's just go here and we'll throw a filter on queens. Watch what happens to the shapes of the hexbins. They get smaller, and there's more space between them. So you might be like, well, that's okay. That's okay. I'll just increase the size of the shape, right? Until it kind of looks good. I might play with a ratio and that kind of thing, right? But remember, in an action, when you clear the action, everything goes back to normal. So when I remove this, watch what happens. Now everything's on top of itself, right? So the way to kind of get around doing that kind of problem would have been you would have had to do some crazy parameter actions or sheet swapping or something along those lines that would you'd have to create separate sheets for each burrow, and then depending on which ones you selected, that one showed up, and then it would have different different ratios and different sizes. So, but I didn't feel like doing that because that just felt like too much. So what I really wanted was to challenge you on how to make a cool hexbin map, and just kind of, so now what you can kind of do is we can come here and we'll do this side by side. So I'll go and I'll add this to, I'll put my same color on here. And Tableau does not allow me to, I don't have a reversed one, so that's unfortunate. I don't have, but maybe if we do something like, well, I want my, so all my sequentials have darks on the ends, which is not really what I'm going for. So, but anyway, you can kind of get the idea, right? You can kind of, and you can play with this. You can play with these density marks a little bit, right? You can kind of play with how everything looks. But hexbins are kind of fun because, again, you can use these on any type of scatter plot. So you just kind of do the same thing. You don't have to do the geographic stuff, so that's nice. But you do have to do the ratios and all of that kind of fun stuff. So that is hexbins in Tableau. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this made a lot of sense. And yeah, we'll do this again next week. This was a fun challenge. I enjoyed it. I hope you all did too. And hope you learned something new. I did see somebody in the community, Brandon, said that he's been using it for years and never even knew these functions existed. So maybe that'll be some of my challenges this year, is digging into the Tableau function library and pulling out some of those functions that aren't used very often or very much, and see if we can't come up with a challenge that forces you to learn something new. So, apologize. I'm very tired today. Anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next time. Go forth and viz.